Welcome to Short Movie Channel. At the beginning of our story today, we see a man running in the dark and very scary forest. Suddenly, someone attacks him with a knife with all their strength and ferocity, continuing to stab him. After that, he drags him to the truck, and the scene ends here. The next morning, the truck appears, and we learn that it belongs to a man named Kath, who is here with his truck for a fun camping trip with his family, consisting of his wife Kathleen, his son Jeffrey, and his daughter Amy. Kath is warming up the food and grilling meat on the barbecue, and then he starts eating while they are all very happy and enjoying themselves together. However, his daughter Amy doesn't want to eat and tells them she's not in the mood right now. Amy is talking on the phone and goes off toward the forest by herself, also lighting a joint. Meanwhile, Kath and his family encounter two young men, Matt and Billy, who ask Kath about their third friend, Miller, who is the same person who was killed in the forest last night. However, Kath apologizes to them and says he hasn't seen Miller or anyone else pass by since he arrived with his family. From Kath's words and tone, we can see that he's trying to ignore them and minimize conversation with them as much as possible. At that moment, Amy finishes her call and her joint, and she comes back to them. The two young men look at her in a way that doesn't please her father, Kath, so he immediately tells her to get into the truck. Jeffrey, Kath's son, offers them chocolate, and they thank him and take some. Here, the two young men ask Kath if they can take a look inside the truck, but Kath calmly responds that they are in a hurry and don't have time, and they will leave now. After that, the young men get in their car and drive away quietly, while Kath and his family gather their things as well. Kath leaves the truck and moves away immediately. After some time, in the middle of the road, they encounter the young men Matt and Billy, but their car is broken down. They are trying to fix it, and Matt is holding a rifle in his hand, as we can see. When Kath sees them, she gets very scared and asks Kath to turn the truck around and take another road away from them, but Kath doesn't listen to her and continues driving toward Matt and Billy until he reaches them. The young men ask Kath to give them a ride to their destination because their car is broken down, but Kath refuses to take them with him in the truck, feeling scared because of the rifle Matt is holding. When Matt notices that Kath and his family are scared because of the rifle, he says, "Take one of us with you in the car, and the other will stay here to guard the broken car." Kath replies, "I'll stay here and take care of it, so I can get the other car and come back." Indeed, Kath agrees, but Kathleen is still very worried and doesn't want Billy to ride with them. After that, Billy talks to Kath and Jeffrey, Kath's son, and they keep chatting. Billy tells him that he lives with his family, Savannah and Julie, and that they will be very happy to meet them when he gets dropped off at home. Jeffrey is holding something in his hand that looks like a small notebook. When Billy sees it, he realizes it belongs to their friend Miller, who they've been looking for and has been missing since last night. Suddenly, without any warning, Jeffrey stabs him with a knife and finishes him off. The strange thing is that none of them move from their spots or even seem surprised. It looks like they're used to killing people in such a gruesome way, as if it's just a regular routine for them. After that, they all change their clothes and put on white outfits, similar to what doctors wear in an autopsy room. They start chopping up Billy's body and putting it in bags in the fridge, just like we see. In the fridge, we also find another dismembered body, which belongs to Miller, who was killed in the woods last night. The meat that Keith was grilling, which they all ate happily, also came from Miller's body, which they killed in a horrific manner. Keith is completely shattered, and they continue their journey until they reach Billy's house, where he gave them the address when he was talking to them before they killed him. When they knock on the door, Billy's cousins, Savannah and Julie, open it for them. Keith tells them that their truck broke down on the road, and Caitlin mentions that they ran into Billy on the way, and he was the one who gave them the address to this house. They ask if they can stay with them for a few hours until they fix it. But Neville, the girl's father, hears this and says there's no problem at all. They've also prepared dinner, so he invites them to eat with them. However, they thank him and say they already ate before they came here. But when Neville insists, they have to sit at the table with them. Of course, the food doesn't appeal to them at all since they're used to eating human flesh. Keith asks to use the phone to make an important call, and Neville tells him that there's only one phone in the house, and it belongs to Billy. Savannah asks them, "Since you met Billy on the road, where is he? Why didn't he come with you?" Caitlin responds, saying he was on his way to meet a friend and told us the address. We understood he would go to see his friend and come back right away. But Savannah's questions don't stop there. She keeps asking them a lot about themselves and their lives, as she seems really uneasy around them. Meanwhile, Keith, Caitlin, Amy, and Jeffrey are about to pull out their weapons to kill them and finish them off, but suddenly a giant person walks in, as we see, named Mac, and we find out he's a member of their family and Julie's fiancé. When Keith and his family see him, they take him seriously before thinking about carrying out their plans. After that, the film takes us to Matt, who is standing on the road in the freezing cold, waiting for his friend Billy to return with the car. Matt keeps trying to call Billy but finds his phone is off because Keith broke it after they killed Billy. We return to Keith and his family, who are eating human flesh. Amy goes into the bathroom, and we discover that Billy's eye was with her, and it falls on the bathroom floor. She leaves without noticing it. When Amy exits the bathroom, she runs into Savannah and starts chatting with her, trying to get closer. But Julie comes in and tells them, "Enough talking, let's go to sleep." After that, Caitlin talks to her husband Keith and tells him it's better not to do anything here and that they should leave quietly in the morning without being seen. But Keith tells her that Jeffrey gave chocolate to Mac and Julie, and they ate it, and he's going to take care of Jeffrey while Jeffrey will take care of Mac. In the meantime, Amy is with Savannah and smokes a joint, urging Savannah to smoke with her. They talk a bit, while Jeffrey steps outside the house. He finds Mac sitting in front of the house and stabs him several times with the knife he has. He then chokes him with a heavy metal chain. Keith calls quietly to the room where Neville is, and there he hits him with the axe he has and kills him. When Amy is with Savannah, she wants to have a relationship with her, and we learn here that Amy is a lesbian. She pulls out the knife she has to finish off Savannah, but accidentally bumps into Amy and cuts her. Savannah asks her why she has the knife in her clothes, and Amy responds that they were on a camping trip in the woods and she was prepared with that knife for anything that might happen to protect herself. Savannah tries to bandage Amy's wound and goes outside to get some antiseptics and a medical bandage. When Amy sees how kind Savannah is to her, she thinks about not killing her. At that moment, Savannah sees Keith's truck parked behind the house and notices Keith and his wife Caitlin getting out of it, heading back inside. Savannah realizes they've been watching them since they said their truck broke down on the road far from here. After that, she goes to the truck and finds Mac's body and Billy's body, along with the dismembered bodies in the fridge. She is horrified and realizes that Keith and his family are the killers and serial murderers, and they are here to finish them all off. Then we go to Julie, who is in the bathroom and finds her cousin Billy's eye that Amy dropped earlier. She understands that everyone is in great danger, so she rushes to her father Neville's room, but discovers that it's too late. They've already killed him. She goes into a state of severe hysteria, but Keith grabs her, puts his hand firmly over her mouth, and drags her to the kitchen, hitting her head hard against the table. Meanwhile, Jeffrey is with him. Keith comes out with his wife Caitlin to kill her, but she doesn't want to listen to him and doesn't want to kill Julie. Suddenly, we see an arrow pierce Caitlin's neck, and she falls to the ground and dies. We see that Savannah has the gun and fired the arrow. When Amy arrives, she is in shock and hysteria when she sees her mother Caitlin dead in front of her, blaming her father, and telling him he's the reason for all this and that he's sick and needs treatment. Keith tells Amy and Jeffrey that this family is worthless and has no purpose in life, and Amy regrets not telling Savannah when she was with her in the room a little while ago. At that moment, Savannah had gone back into the room, using Amy's phone to call the police. Jeffrey quietly opened the door, but Savannah hit him hard in the head, causing him to fall to the ground unconscious. Meanwhile, Keith was tying Julie to a chair, telling her to call her sister Savannah to come over, or he would cut her into small pieces. When she refused, he cut her and played with the knife in front of her, as we see. Just then, Savannah enters with a knife at Keith's throat. Keith tells her, "If you want to kill him, do it, But just know I'll kill you and your sister afterward. Savannah has no choice but to let him go and surrender to them. They tie her to another chair next to her sister Julie and start torturing him in the most brutal ways. After that, they cook Neville's liver in a pan on the stove, trying to force Savannah to eat it, but she refuses. Keith seems ready to cut her fingers off like he did with Julie. Savannah tells him that his daughter Amy is a lesbian and a drug addict, and she even smoked with her a little while ago. This makes Keith angry, and he starts arguing with his daughter Amy. At that moment, Savannah seizes the opportunity, frees her hands, and stabs Keith in the eye with a fork, but he pulls the fork out and eats it. Just then, Matt arrives at the house with his gun and shoots Keith, hitting his arm. But Jeffrey attacks Matt, and Keith takes the chance to try to grab the gun from Matt, leading them into a fierce struggle. While Savannah and Julie manage to free themselves, Jeffrey tries to kill them. Savannah grabs a pan with very hot water and throws it on Jeffrey, continuing her attack and choking him until he dies. Keith grabs a knife and stabs Matt in the head, killing him. Meanwhile, Julie hits Keith hard in the head with a hammer, finally finishing him off. Savannah and Amy feel a bit reassured, but they know very well they're still not completely safe, especially since Amy is still missing in the house, and they need to look for her. Savannah leaves, and as she dies, Amy quickly escapes outside. We see a police officer arrive at the scene and he shoots Savannah directly in the head, killing her instantly because he thinks she's one of the serial killers. He reports that the Mr. Yuffel family are serial killers who have murdered an entire innocent family who were their guests, and he says he saved one member of that family, who had called them a little while ago. Suddenly, Savannah attacks the officer and kills him too. She quickly sets fire to the whole house, takes their truck, and drives away, smoking a cigarette and listening to music, enjoying herself. And that's how our film ends today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you liked the video, to support us with a like and subscribe,